Welcome to another video with Joseph Manifesting. Today's video is going to be on revision. I'm going to share a couple of personal stories as well as a client story that they recently had on how they revised and changed their past and their future. Before I go into the video, please like and subscribe. My whole channel is dedicated to Neville Goddard and inner work development. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please see my description, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Before I get into my story, I want to share a story about a baby elephant to help us understand why revision is so important. You'll hear so many stories of people saying, well, my SP shows up this way, or I'm getting mixed results. And the reason why is simple. If I am affirming something is so, I will get that manifestation outside of me. However, I will also get unconscious, subconscious beliefs that are there as well that aren't dealt with. Because as Neville says, the past is not dead in us, it is still alive fully. The story I'm going to share is about a baby elephant. So what the villagers do is they don't put this baby elephant in a cage, they don't put him in a confinement. To keep a baby elephant in place, all they do is they hit a steel pole into the ground, tie a rope around his neck, and the other part of the rope around the pole. And the first day that the baby elephant is tied up to this pole, he tries and tries and tries. He tries to pull the rope off, tries to break it, tries to use his tusk. Well, it wouldn't be his tusk. Tries to use his trunk to remove the pole and the rope, and he's unable to. And he tries and tries and tries. The second day does the exact same thing over and over again until the baby elephant completely gives up on trying to get the pole out of the ground or trying to remove the rope. Fast forward, the same baby elephant that weighed maybe 500 pounds at the time now weighs 10,000 pounds. He's now pulling trees out of the ground, lifting up 1,000-pound logs and etc., moving it back and forth for miles. Very strong animal. However, when the elephant is done being used for the day, the villagers tie him up to this pole with a little rope around his neck. Now, that big elephant is plenty strong to break that rope. However, that big elephant remembers being the baby elephant. He remembers all the times that he tried to break the rope or he tried to remove the pole and he was unsuccessful with it. So he doesn't even try anymore. Why is this relevant to manifestation? Neville talks about how we see life through states. Another way of putting states is filters. I don't see life as it is, I see life as I am. And I see life through the filters of my past. Any past trauma, I see life through that filter. Revision is so important because revising goes back into what's called the first evil. It's the time where I saw myself incapable of doing something. The time I saw somebody unloving, the time that I saw myself unloving. Revision remedies that and not only changes the past, but also changes the future about me and the way that I see myself. With that being said, I'm going to share my first story. This was probably about 7-8 months ago, and I've been into going to the gym, and I wanted my wife to go with me. And I asked my wife to go with me to the gym. Several times she kept saying it was unideal for her. I went into my imagination and I saw her saying that she was excited to try it out and it's something that she's been wanting to do. Within about a week, she was going with me to the gym. And now today, it's one of our favorite activities that we end up doing together is going to the gym. In fact, it's probably our favorite activity to do together. And now she probably goes to the gym more than I do. All I did was I went into my imagination. I was in the same exact area as I was when she said it was unideal for her. She was wearing the same exact thing. I simply saw her saying that she was excited to go, that it's something that she wanted to do, and then I dropped it and let it go, and then it was revised. Second story I recently had actually was with work. I was working in Illinois, and I had so many jobs that I needed to be there for. It's one of my responsibilities, and I didn't have anybody to cover for me. The way that it's set up is like in order for you to get paid, you have to be there for the build, you have to be there to collect the check, all the different stuff, and otherwise you don't get paid. Well, I wanted to get paid, but I also wanted to go home because I've been in Illinois for close to 6 months by this point, and I just desired to go home. Now, logically, there was no way this could possibly work. In fact, it was looking like I was going to be there probably for another month or a month and a half. But I didn't care. I knew to desire was to have. So I went into my imagination and I saw myself excited that on this day, I was going home. I was packing my bags. I was super pumped. I was telling my wife, I was telling my friends that I was going home. That was about a week before I ended up actually going home. So I just stayed in the assumption that I'm going home on this day, even though I had no conversations with anybody in the 3D. Logically, there was no way this was going to happen because, again, I needed to be there for the builds. And so logically, it just didn't make sense how it was going to happen. I stayed loyal. I kept assuming and I kept assuming. Well, the day of that I was supposed to go home, I talked to my supervisor. Right? I felt compelled to ask him if he would end up covering for me. He has his own builds. He's managing a team. He's been working for about 8 months straight. And so, logically, again, this was unideal for him. However, I knew I was going home that day. So I give him a phone call and his response is, no, you can't go home. Okay. I didn't argue with him. I didn't say anything. I simply went into my imagination and I saw him saying, you know what? I will take care of that for you. You've been here for 6 months and you deserve to see your family. Again, I stayed in that assumption. I didn't end up renewing my hotel. My hotel needed to be renewed that week for the next month. I packed my bags. I had everything ready to go. And in my mind, I was on my way home and I already heard that. About 6 hours later, he gives me a phone call back and says, as long as this job that you're doing today is taken care of, I will take care of the rest of the jobs for you. Just please make sure this one's taken care of. Lo and behold, here I am going home, and now I'm in Arizona. The last story that I want to share is on a client that was desiring for her SP to keep her updated on where it was that he was going to. A lot of the times when he would leave, he wouldn't say anything, and it was unideal for her. So she went into her imagination and she brought up the area she was in when the SP didn't tell her where it was that he was going to. And she saw him telling her where he was going to and telling her that he loves her. I was actually on the phone call with her doing a client call. And at the time, he's in the background being super loving, letting her know where it is that he's going to, and updated her the way that she visualized. And she was like, man, that was quick. That literally happened within about 12 hours. Now, a point that I want to touch on is if this is for an SP or if this is for finances or something like that, and you've had lots of 3D experiences to the contrary of what you're revising, you may need to revise a few times. For the reason being that you have so much 3D proof to the contrary that if you were to revise one time, it may not feel as though you accept it. Because ultimately, here's the thing. I must convince myself that something is so. And if I have 1,000 experiences to the contrary, then there's a good chance that one revision, I may not convince myself that something is ideal or somebody is ideal. I assure you that if you convince yourself that something is so, that if you revise correctly, the outside will change in harmony with your assumption. Now, if your revision was successful if you no longer have any unconscious or subconscious whispering or beliefs about situations that were unideal. For instance, if I say my wife loves me and she adores me, and then my brain starts going off on a tangent, no, she doesn't because of this, this, and this, it is a sure sign that I did not revise properly and I need to revise again. And I want to highlight this point one more time. Revision is to change me. So I want to go into my imagination and see things as vividly as possible so that it seems like it was actually a 3D experience. And that's how I'm successful in revising my 3D and convincing myself that something is so. In all revisions, no matter what it is, that is your sole purpose, is to convince you that something is a certain way. That's it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and comment. If you would like a specific video for me to speak on something that's relevant to you, please leave a comment about it and I will make sure that it's in one of my next videos. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day. Take care.